Hi, my angels, it's Hailey Reese, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so grateful that you are here, and I do hope that you are having an absolutely fantastic morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it is for you when this video finally reaches you. Today's video has come so highly requested by those of you who know a little bit about this experience and were kind of up to speed last year when the actual incident had occurred, but also indirectly by a bunch of you who have been requesting my own personal experiences. Now, I'm sure it's to do with Halloween coming up and everybody getting excited for spooky season that so many of you have been asking me if I have had any terrifying personal paranormal experiences as of lately. And while this happened last October, so coming up on a year now, I never, ever thought I was going to share this with you guys. It was something that after it had occurred and after it had happened, I sat on it and I told myself it was something I was never going to speak of again because of how terrifying the experience was. But after a year, so much has changed. I'll get into why I now feel comfortable talking about it. And I'm going to share an experience with you guys, a personal paranormal experience that I had that was so traumatizing. I absolutely never thought I would share it with you. So yeah, but here we are. Before we get into today's video though, I would very quickly like to take a moment to thank Dave for partnering with me on today's video. Now, I am so excited to share Dave with you guys because let's be honest, we all need financial help sometimes. I truly wish that I had had Dave back when Ace had his emergency vet visit and was diagnosed with IVDD because that was such an unexpected massive expense for us that we just absolutely didn't see coming and really could have used Dave for. Dave is the banking app that is leveling the financial playing field. When you download Dave, you could get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. And even better, no credit check and no late fees. It's part of Dave's extra cash account. Advance the money that you need with no interest, and you can get your advance instantly when you transfer it to your Dave's checking account. Extra cash gives you more money to be able to fill the tank, buy groceries, and pay rent without having to wait for your next paycheck. So if you're in a pinch, get the help you need by downloading Dave today. Download Dave today at dave.com/Hailey Reese. That's dave.com/Hailey Reese. Again, you could get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less when you download Dave. No credit check and no late fees. So make sure to download the Dave app now or head to dave.com/Hailey Reese. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Eligibility criteria and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve, member FDIC. So thank you so much to Dave for partnering with me on today's video. And without further ado, let's get into this experience. All right, so where do I even begin here? Now, I know there's going to be so many of you who are commenting, thinking the title or this video is some sort of clickbait, that I'm trying to make a video out of nothing, and that I'm just expanding on something that happened a year ago. And I wholeheartedly wish that were the case. Now, while this experience hasn't continued to affect me, it happened within the span of, I think, 2 days, maybe 3 days max. And afterwards, after everything that would transpire, I was able to move on from it and continue creating content, but in a little bit of a different way. However, regardless of it not being something that would continue on or traumatize me for days, weeks, or months to come, it was an absolutely terrifying experience and a really big reminder to me as somebody who investigates, dives into, and has had so many paranormal experiences to just remind myself of how thin the line is and just how careful I have to be opening up my energy to this on a daily basis. Now, obviously, this is something that I've been well aware of my entire life, and especially over the lifespan of my channel. It's just sometimes life happens, and without even realizing, we can subject ourselves to spiritual experiences we didn't even realize were affecting our energy, our space, and in turn, our peace. So I actually know the exact date that this happened because I went back today through my text messages and found my messages to Lana the night that everything had happened. And so this all occurred on October 3rd of 2023. Now, as you know, if you've been on my channel, I have always done since the very start of my channel, a series that I started called 31 Days of Halloween. And that's where I film, edit, and upload a spooky Halloween related video or just a video in general every single day for the month of October. And I absolutely love it. And yes, it is happening again this year. But this particular day was October 3rd. So I was 3 days into my 31 days of Halloween. And I was set to film the video on October 3rd for the following day. And so I had settled on, I believe it was a Ouija board terrifying case. And in this specific case and experience, the individual has an encounter with a very specific Ouija board demon, in which I will not name in this particular video. Now, I need to backtrack for just a moment here because it's really, really important to this experience to explain kind of my energy and my living situation up until October 3rd when this would happen. So backtracking a little bit, we would have moved into this condo in April after everything crazy transpired with our previous haunted house, and we were dead set on the one thing, the number one priority with this move was to make sure that our space was light and bright, both in the physical realm and in the spiritual sense accordingly. I wanted this place to feel light and bright and just magical in all the best ways. And so it was a really big deal for us moving in here to really shift the energy from our previous space that had been so dark and so terrifying into our new space. Now, so many things would happen leaving that last house that you guys know about. You know, Tyler had an act. It was just a whole bunch of horrifying things associated with the darkness that was attached to us back then. And that energy didn't carry into our new place because immediately coming in here, I was so grateful, so much happier, so much lighter, brighter, all of the above. But there was still residual energy, right? Like there was still this darkness that was behind us now, but that we were still shedding. There was all of these years that so much had happened, so much that I want to even get into with you guys on my second channel that was so heavy and dark that it was like I was coming out of this skin of myself and this shedding this previous chapter, but there was still so much of it, right? And so many things were happening behind the scenes and whatnot that I found myself just really coming into my space, realizing how much lighter it felt, how much better it felt, trying to navigate this new life, so to speak, in the best way possible. And in turn, because my space felt so good, I found myself back then cleansing it less and less frequently because it just felt like it was always such high energy. And it was something that Lana, the Hawk and I here on YouTube, my very good friend who's also an evidential medium, really drove home for me back then was, Hailey, like you've gotta really protect yourself, ground yourself, cleanse your space, just everything that you can possibly do in order to keep your frequency high and therefore vibrate at a frequency of which you want to attract and bring forth in your life. And she kept reminding me like, Hailey, you got to stay on top of it. You got to keep cleansing. You got to stay on top of it. So at this point, I remember I was a little bit under the weather and I had settled on doing this particular video. But on this day, my energy was just already off. I can't specifically remember why. I just do remember as I reflect back on this day that my energy was a little bit different than normal. And I remember as I was going through the notes for this case and this experience, I contemplated whether or not I was going to say the name of the Ouija board demon out loud. Now I have in the past. I have a handful of times at least talked about this particular Ouija board demon. But where I think I went a little wrong is that I thought and put energy towards whether or not it was something that I should say out loud, solely because I had recently seen a comment from somebody stating that me saying it out loud, it was like a whole thing, a whole warning, and they went through a whole experience. And so it was fresh in my mind. And I was like, if people feel this way, I want to make sure that they feel safe watching the video. So what I'll do is I'll just put the name of the demon on the screen when I go to edit the video, and therefore people can choose to say it out loud or not, and they don't have to hear it. And so that was what I had settled on, and I decided to film the video. Now, while I was filming the video, I immediately started feeling sick. I get aura migraines, absolutely not related to the paranormal whatsoever. I've always got them, but with my aura migraines comes a real lack of vision for me. I get like spots everywhere. I can't see. It's like flashing lights. I started experiencing that. Just the filming of the video was really uncomfortable to begin with. And as it came time to state said demon's name, I remember feeling as I was filming just uncomfortable. It just felt really strange. And this isn't the first time things like this have happened for me. It specifically happens more frequently when I'm alone researching a little bit heavier of subjects or really dark entities or cases and whatnot. And I've had experiences where I've either freaked myself out or I've, felt like something was lingering. Lana has told both you guys and myself in the past that there was a really dark entity that had attached to me through a case or a video that I had done. So me feeling unsettled and feeling a little bit weird while filming, I thought I was just freaking myself out. Although it was a little bit strange because Tyler was here as well as my dogs, as they always are. And normally, especially when I'm filming with other people, I don't get that strange feeling. And I started to feel like, I'm feeling a little bit sick, feeling a little bit off. Now I feel strange after it got to the point where I'm talking about the specific entity. And I just remember thinking like, maybe I shouldn't film this. But of course, it's 31 days of Halloween and I'm already halfway through the video at this point, so I'm trekking on. I get through the video, and immediately after filming, I just remember emerging from my office and feeling so unbelievably uncomfortable. It was like I had just thrown off the energy in the place. And when I film, just to kind of set the visual for you guys, I shut off my air conditioning and like anything that could be noisy around here, like the TV or just any background noise that would be disruptive for you guys. And so when I emerged from my office, I was emerging into this dead silence. I remember it was late at night. When I had wrote Lana, it was 10 something. And so I know it was late at night, meaning it would have been dark in here. And I just remember feeling like, really what I felt like was that I had pissed something off. That's really truly the gut feeling that I got. And as I went to go and edit my video, I remember I was editing it on the couch. Tyler also felt like, maybe you shouldn't be talking about this. And so I get to editing the video, and about halfway through, it gets to the point where I go to talk about said entity, and my computer just shuts down. Now, this has happened before. I work with electronics all the time, right? Like, it happens often. So I didn't think anything of it, and I just started it back up, opened up Final Cut Pro again, and I'm back at it again, right? Right when I get to that point where it gets to said entity, my Final Cut Pro just shuts down and quits unexpectedly. I'm like, okay, this is a little weird. And I start feeling a little bit strange with it. And I'm telling Tyler, I'm like, this is weird. I understand things can go strange, but my computer was working perfectly fine all day. And it's only at this one point that it starts shutting down. And so I'm starting to feel a little bit more unsettled. But again, it's dark, it's quiet. I just filmed a creepy video. And I'm thinking you're just freaking yourself out. And so I continue on with trying to get the computer up and running and trying to edit, and it seems like everything's gonna work just fine. And that's when I type the 4-letter name of said entity, and when I go to place it in the section of the video that I would put it up on the screen, everything quits again. And when I open it up this time, from the moment that I go to talk about the entity onward, the file is completely corrupt. By corrupt, I mean black screen. I'm not even exaggerating, you guys. From the moment that the point of the video where I would be inserting said entity's name, from there onward, my footage is completely corrupt. And so I'd already edited like half of the video up until this point, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating, but I'm gonna like wipe everything out of Final Cut, re-import the footage, because I had seen the footage was there. Like when I had first placed the footage into Final Cut from start to finish, when I skimmed the video, it was originally there. So it's not like this was an issue with the camera and it had like corrupted in the camera or in the memory card. Absolutely not. And so I wipe everything. I wipe the project. I start a new project knowing full and well that I'm going to have to re-edit the whole thing. And I place in the footage. And again, right from that moment onward, it's corrupt. And so I go to the actual memory card, and I remember I pulled up the file, and from that moment on now, it was completely corrupt. So it wasn't even as if I could even use the footage and this was like some weird glitch. It was now corrupt. But again, I had skimmed the footage when I had first inserted it, and I had messed with like the audio and whatnot, and I was well aware that it was a perfectly healthy file, and it was suddenly corrupt. So I'm starting to feel really weird, and I'm looking at Tyler. I'm getting frustrated. He's like, just go refilm it. It's not that big of a deal. The video's for tomorrow. Like, don't stress it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. And so I come back here into my office, and I set up my camera, and I start recording, and I'm getting through the video. And right where it gets to the point that I talk about said demon, all of a sudden, my camera just shuts off and completely stops recording. And this happens another 3 times. And so at this point, I'm starting to get freaked out. So is Tyler. I'm about to give up on the video. I'm like, I'll try again tomorrow. This is not working. I don't want to be frustrated in the video for you guys. And Tyler comes around the corner, and he's like, we're going to cleanse the space. We're going to cleanse your camera, cleanse your office, cleanse the condo, cleanse everything, get this energy out, and we're going to see. Tyler goes ahead and he starts cleansing everything. And all I can feel is that I've pissed something off. I can't shake the feeling. And so at this point, I text Lana, and I wrote her, and I was like, I really need your help putting positive energy into my space, cleansing my space. Basically, I explained to her what happened, and that I think I pissed something off, that something is not happy, that I'm talking about it for whatever reason that may be. And I've just never felt so sick about talking about something. And what was strange is I've covered a lot darker. I've covered a lot eerier. I've talked about said entity in an entire video revolving around it. And I'd never felt this way. On this particular day, something was just off and something wasn't right. And I remember her saying, hang in there, I'm going to help you, to which she did. And at this point, Tyler's been cleansing the space, and I go back in and I film the video, and I don't put the name on the screen. I'm pretty sure I say in the video, like, I tried to film this. I can't even remember if I did mention that to you, but I'm sure I would have, just explaining to you, this is a 3rd time filming this, 4th time filming this, whatever time it was at this point. And I just remember I went and I filmed it, and after everything had been cleansed and I'd asked Lana for help and what to do, I felt significantly better about filming it, and it went through and the video was able to be edited. But for days, something was very, very strange. I was having these awful, awful nightmares. I remember I would wake up in the night, and even like my algorithms were off. It was like everything was just messing with me. It got so dark and so scary that I actually said out loud an apology for even speaking about it. And I made a promise that I wouldn't say its name out loud online again, which is why I have not said entity's name, and I have not put it in the description, in the title, in the thumbnail, on the screen. I have not, because I was so terrified, you guys. And it was crazy because as much as there's going to be so many of you saying, well, you're scared of this, or are you scared of this, or should I be scared of this? Should I not say it out loud? I know in my heart of hearts, There is no darkness that can overcome light. Light will always overcome darkness. I do not fear the darkness at the end of the day because I know that light will overcome it. But in that moment, in the dreams I was having, in the way I was feeling, it felt like it wasn't the fact that I'd said the name. It was the fact that I was talking down on said entity and doing so online. And that was the way that I felt. And so for so long, I'm like, I'm never going to talk about it because with confidence, I'm not saying that I had upset specifically said entity, but definitely one in cahoots with it. Like it very much felt like you're not going to talk about, you're not going to push this, because in the video I was stating, never search them. If they approach you, don't associate. If there's warning signs, close out the board. I was encouraging each and every one of you to step away from said entity and to protect yourselves from it. And I think that that's where I upset it. I was not the only one in my home who had experiences for the 3 following days. My dogs were acting strange. Tyler felt uncomfortable. We had to cleanse our place religiously. We had to continuously make sure that we were protecting ourselves. And the only reason that I feel comfortable telling you guys this story now, a year later, is because I'm in such a different mental space now than I was back then. Obviously, I'm human and my vibration's gonna fluctuate, but then I was kind of sitting at a medium and trying to stay high vibration, but still battling so much trauma from the past and so many things that were resurfacing for me that weren't of a high vibration, and I was kind of trying to balance myself out. Now I feel like I've worked through so many of those things, and even the things that I've yet to work through, I'm addressing and I'm comfortable with and confident in, and I'm in such a space of love and light for myself, my environment, my career, my family, just everything, that I don't feel susceptible to an energy so dark at this point in my life. Like, talking about it right now, I feel so disconnected from the energy that I felt back then. Had I have talked about this then, I honestly think I'd have been shaking, I'd have been nauseous, it was awful. It's not so much what happened to me. Obviously, I wasn't attacked by an entity. Things weren't thrown around my house. My space is very much protected, but I definitely felt like something did not want that footage going anywhere. For the following days, my dreams were terrible. There are certain things that were happening in the days following that I don't want to talk about, that I'll probably never talk about, but just to give you a little bit of context on them. In one instance, I'd woken up from a terrible evil nightmare associated with this. Basically, I felt very threatened. I felt like it was almost, there was energy challenging me, is almost how I felt in my dreams and in my energy at night and whatnot. And I remember I woke up and I was seeking like some sort of comfort. I went on like different apps and whatnot to like get my mind off of how I was feeling and the dream that I had had. And I remember I ended up scrolling and I was immediately on this person's live, and it was so evil. And like some of the comments were resonating with my dream, and I just remember feeling so beyond sick. I just went and like did a meditation, cleansed myself, it was crazy. It was just such an insane week for me, and I kind of had to push it aside so quickly because I was like, it's October, we got to keep the content pushing. And it was just one of those times where I realized I'm talking about such heavy material, be it true crime cases, hauntings across the world, different investigations that I've done, true stories behind things. A lot of it is very heavy content. And if I'm not protecting myself and cleansing myself and keeping my vibration and my frequency high, I can run into some pretty terrifying situations. Now, for those of you watching, I already know I'm going to get so many comments asking me like, by watching these videos, am I susceptible? If I talk about it or I say it, am I susceptible? And the reality is, whenever we vibrate at any frequency, whenever we talk about certain things, we're more likely to attract certain things, for better or for worse. But what I will say is that frequency and vibration is absolutely everything. High vibrational beings are attracted to high vibrational beings. Low vibrational beings are attracted to low vibrational beings, places, spaces, things, etc. Watching these things does not automatically subject you to any darkness. It's where your mind and your energy goes. Just remember to always protect yourself in a white light, and remind yourself that light will always overcome any darkness. What you believe, you become. If you believe that you're attracting all these dark, negative, evil entities and that they're going to cause harm to you in your life, you're welcoming that into your reality. Whether or not you're going to see that before your eyes, I don't know, but that's the type of energy that you're welcoming. If you enjoy spooky stuff, but simultaneously understand that your space is light, protected, and not welcoming of anything evil or dark, then you can do so safely. I had so many of you asking me if I could finally talk about what it is that happened with that video, why I didn't feel comfortable for the rest of October talking about said entity, and that was why. It just, something about it was really, really, really not right. And I really had to step back from that energy, disassociate myself from that energy, and move a little bit differently and safer going forward. So that is the long-awaited experience with said entity. Things just got really dark in my home. I felt very uncomfortable. The dreams that I had following were just not good. And I really had to evaluate how I was keeping my energy, myself, and my space protected and cleansed. That is basically it for my experience. I hope that you guys did enjoy it. With that being said, I am so excited for 31 Days of Halloween. So if you guys have any content suggestions or anything that you really enjoy seeing on my channel that you would like to see in the coming months, definitely let me know down below. And that is it for today's video. Once again, I would just absolutely love to thank Dave for partnering with me for today's video. Download the Dave app now or head to dave.com/Hailey Reese. You can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check and no late fees. So make sure to go to dave.com/Hailey Reese. And thank you so much to Dave for partnering with me on today's video. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my content, I would love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you. Bye guys.